Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversation. Conversation is a program where we get to share our life experiences and thereby we'll get to learn from one another. And today I have a very amiable personality, someone, we all admired right there back in school and we still admire her. She's a big sister and a dear friend. So we welcome Funke. We knew her as Funke Suleman, but she will introduce herself properly to us. So Funke, please tell us your full name, your name now, what you do, and where you live.
Good evening, everyone, or should I just say greetings to all, because I believe we're all over the world as it is now. My name is Funke Suleman Lampejo. Um, so I have a double name because my maiden name is Suleman. I live in the UK. I'm a mother, an entrepreneur, uh, and I have three boys, which I'm glad I went to my alma mater, Command Secondary School, has prepared me for my military time tenure with the both of it. So that's who I am at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, as I said earlier on, I'm so happy and honored to have you. So tell us, we just knew you in command, and after that you left. After you graduated from command, I'm not sure I've seen you since then. So tell
Mm,
us, how has it been, your life, your journey academically?
okay. I left command. I finished from command at 16, and I got into Ife, University of Ife. Uh, at the time, the education system enabled us to go directly from our GCSEs as opposed to doing the A levels. So I was one of the fortunate ones who was able to get a place in Ife at the time. University of Ife, now called OAU. My first degree there was geography in the social sciences. And then I left to come to the United Kingdom to study accounting and finance. Um, when I graduated in the UK from accounting and finance, that was very close to the period when the IT move started. And I was always one for innovation, and I had a thirst to sort of convert or take my skill set into the IT terrain. At the time, I believe it was Oracle and the SAP courses that were solutions that I could merge my accounting skill set into. At the time, it was also very difficult to enroll for the course. It was very expensive, and initially, the companies, uh, the trainers, the SAP and the Oracle companies were only restricting it to corporate students, people that were sent from their organizations directly. And there was a long waiting list um, to get entry in to do the course. At the time, the only option was to either go to India or go to South Africa, which were not an option for me at the time. So, but I was very, very eager into getting into the IT world. So I went and did another course in the UK to do with relational database, which incidentally is what all the Oracle and SAP um, structure is based on. They're all databases and how you interact with databases and information and all of that. So I went about it in another way, and it resulted in me getting into business analysis, data analysis, software testing, and all the other umbrellas hats you can put on under the IT sector, which kind of equipped me for what I do today. Uh, so that will be the educational journey translating into actually practicing what I do today. It wasn't an easy journey because, as you can imagine, being on my own in England, um, trying to make a headway, not really having the parental guidance that or family structure that sets you up or gives you a platform to be able to do these things, and having a knee-jerk reaction to what you want to do. And as you can imagine, at that age, some of us, I am one of them, didn't really have a clear picture of what route to go. So it was a case of, okay, after this stage, you find out what's happening, you go this way. And there were uncharted waters really in the genre of career that I was going. So there was a lot of hit and misses, but as they say, no knowledge is lost. It's made me who I am, and I don't like to say master of all, but I can hold my own in different aspects, conversation or career um, topics, so to speak. Um, I'll stop there to give you a chance to talk.
All right, great. So tell us, because I'm really curious. So what do you do now?
Okay, so it's a mix of stuff. My job, my day job, should I say, for the past 25 years has been in the software development field, starting from security penetration testing, which I'm not a hacker, but you can kind of look at me in that way. I did a lot of that initially. I've worked on so many key projects, starting from the first Camelot Lotto or lottery in the UK. Oh. So that company was part of a startup company that I worked with called Indici Salus. That exposed me to a lot of things. And because of that, I was sort of poached into working with the then, what's the company called now? I think it was called Cable and Wireless in the UK. So Cable and Wireless morphed into this company, Telewest, okay, and also now morphed into Virgin Media. So it's been, but so basically that was my entry point into the broadcast sector of software development. And since then, I've worked in that sector using the skill sets, managing, project managing, heading the team remotely, all of those kind of things. So you would say business development, project management, and actual software development functions is what I do. I haven't left. I still have. So my accounting career background has actually helped me because it gives you, it gave me an analytical mindset to be able to look at these things. So figures just jump out and you're able to reduce things logically to numbers. I believe I have a keen eye for detail. Well, I used to have a keen eye for detail. But on the personal side, I've always had the entrepreneur drive. From a very young age, I've always wanted to go into manufacturing, business, as we will refer to it back in the day. But I was never a buy and sell person. I was never, okay, buy this, sell that. I was never that. It was always industry, manufacturing, farming. It was always those kind of things that sort of appealed to me. That was my natural, I veered in that direction naturally. So in all of these years doing my professional job as it is, I've always had in the background these plans and these ideas brewing and looking for the right opportunity to be able to leapfrog into that. So today I have a couple of companies that are looking into those areas. I've diversified while still doing my job because I've always been self-employed, to be quite honest. So it gave me, or still gives me, the opportunity to use my time after doing my day job to do my own thing. So that's worked well. Marrying the two kind of work streams together has been good. It's not been a straightforward journey because, as you know, as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of thinking, planning, strategizing that goes on, and you're your own platform to absorb the risks. There's no company that's sending you forth to go and do a job or do something that is going to pay for the expenses and absorb any risks that may occur from your activity. So when I finish my job and I put on my hat to do my own business, it's like I've started the whole day. And don't forget, there's motherhood and raising a home in all of this as well. So it's quite makes you resilient. And I always thank command because, never say never. You can't die, you can't quit, you can't give in.
Mm-hmm.
That's there. I mean, implicitly, so to speak.
Okay, so I didn't really get the part of what exactly you do as an entrepreneur. So can you just tell me in a nutshell what exactly you do?
Yes. Okay. So as an entrepreneur, the first thing I started, you know how business is, you just sort of find your niche as the way we talk in Nigeria, where I want to do business. What can you bring to the table? I can do anything. You kind of start with that mindset because for me, I had a lot of ideas, a lot of things across the board. And so depending on who I met, I was opportune to meet, who wanted to listen, I pitched different things to them. So you will hear me pitching revenue collection with my IT background, how to improve the revenue collection system or process that currently exists. You will hear me talk about rural electrification. You will hear me talk about real estate development. You will hear me talk about agriculture and all of those kind of things, depending on who I spoke to or the decision makers that I engaged with. And ever so often, they were interested, but there was always, oh, the timing is not right, or okay, let's do this next time. And if you're hungry as an entrepreneur, you don't really want to wait. You just want to you just keep talking. You just keep knocking on all the doors until the right one comes along. So currently, okay, NDA, you have to sign this NDA. Although, I mean, I know. So there's a project I'm currently engaged in. It's a joint partnership with one of the state governments in Nigeria. We finally got that signed off last year. And so there's a project development phase that we're going through. And touch wood, the next couple of months, we might have a big announcement to do this. But this will be in it's an amalgamation of sectors. So there's tourism, there's real estate, there's retail, there's a lot of things. So it's a combination. It's almost like a one-stop shop for different people. So it's a massive project that I'm working on. So you would call me in this particular project as a promoter. So I enabled, connecting all the parties that were bringing together of all the parties that were required to bring this to a fruition is essentially what I've done in this role. So there's so many other things in the pipeline but this is so massive that I've had to put a hold on that to kickstart this and get it to a point where it can sort of work without me using up all the bandwidth of my brain. There's only one me, if you see what I mean. So that's I hope that kind of sheds a little bit of light.
In other words, what I hear is you have different roles.
Yeah.
And you can actually work in different, aspects or different parastatals, or what will I call it now? Companies, organizations.
Organizations, yes. Yeah. Adding value. One of the things, you asked me, I said to you that I have loads of ideas and I kept knocking on doors and talking to people. And one of the things that I also did in the UK was to set up a company that sold ideas, because I realized that, you might have ideas, you might be able to do this, but it might not be for me to implement them all by myself. So one of the functions that I had was, as a business developer, to strategize for new businesses or existing businesses to diversify. So, for instance, there's a company who, a farming company, and I spoke, I realized that they had hit a block where all they were doing was just farming locally and selling their produce. But I mean, I helped to identify other ways to grow the business, looking at processing the products, packaging, exporting, and not just for the local consumption. And so that's one of the things that I do to help develop your business, and in some cases help you actually find clients that will be off takers to your products. So again, the role of promoting comes into
That's
play.
very interesting. That's very interesting. And I'm sure somebody hearing this is like, I need to find out. I need to find out. Yeah, truly, many people need that at this time. Many people have ideas and they don't even know what to do.
Yes,
And some people don't even, some people have the resources but don't even have ideas. Or they don't know what to do. So
absolutely.
that's a very that's really inspiring. Yeah, I look forward to taking you up on that some other time.
Not a problem. Not a
Yeah,
problem.
that's really nice. Okay, so tell me, all of this journey, it seems like everything is just so smooth. Is there been any life lesson, anything so challenging, so humbling that you have experienced?
Have you got time? Everything is a challenge. I've come to realize, I mean, I'm still evolving, so I would say where I am today is miles away from where I was. And to a certain extent, I can understand why some of the people I spoke to did not take me on or did not take my ideas on or, build on it. Because apart from the fact that I was a lot younger when I started talking about this, it was sometimes in my teens. When I talk to people, I engage people. I'm like, okay, so what business can we do? What about this? Oh, you should be able to do something. A lot of times, um, some people listen to some of the ideas and they've actually told me, oh, Nigeria is not ready for this now. Oh, these are outlandish ideas. How are we going to do it? How do you come? So yes, true. Some of those ideas might have been wish lists, because they might not have been economically viable for Nigeria, but maybe for another um, country or platform or time. But to you, the visionaire, you don't think so at the time. You just feel, oh my gosh, I've worked so hard. I'm thinking about this. And one thing I'm grateful to God for is I think on my feet. I'm a quick thinker. So when you're knocking this down, I'm coming up with something else. Knock this one, on the spot, because I kind of feel, what, this is a one-time opportunity to be able to pitch what I need to pitch. And so I'm talking, and I don't just pitch to anybody. I'd actually study you. I might not be very good at studying characters, but I do think that I wait for the right time to talk. And if the right time is not coming, I make the time right, kind of thing. So that might come from just my attitude. I'm happy go lucky, wishful, that kind of a thing. So maybe to a certain extent, people don't know when I'm serious from when I'm joking.
Mhm.
But to me, I always think that there's something important coming out of it. It's not been an easy journey because, like I say, you my original ideas have morphed into something else today, and that's the journey. Not because my original ideas were bad or flawed, but it's time and chance. And so when those things don't come together to favor you, you have to move on to something that time and chance creates. So it's been a very, very um, it's been an adult's journey. And if I'm honest, um, I think I actively started to do something or try to do something about it 3 years ago. Before then, it was just I'll talk, but I wasn't really expecting any outcome.
Okay.
I wasn't actually putting everything into it and saying something has to give. I wasn't thinking like that. So I had a very uh, challenging experience in my life that kind of, like I said, time and chance created the platform for me for it to have to happen. And so my ethos changed, my attitude changed, the energy I put towards this changed. And if I'm honest, I also started getting, um, I'd reached the no utility rather from my current job. I felt, what, I had picked and I wasn't fulfilled. I needed to do something because I had all of these God given
Idea.
energy, ideas, you know. that I haven't done, and I thought, you know what, this is not the end of the road. I'm not one to just settle and just say, oh, it's comfortable living abroad. I have electricity. What else am I looking for? No, I've been out here for over 30 years, and it was time to go back home. And going back home to what? I wasn't going back. I'd not been a 9 to 5 person here. I'd been self-employed and running my own business, albeit in the corporate world.
Mhm.
So going back to Nigeria to find a job was not an option. It had to be my own thing, my own outfit. And so 3 years ago, things came together and I started to come out of my shell and do a little bit more. I I attended loads of networking events, met different people. Uh, Initially, I'd say the first couple of meetings I had, I was very quiet because it wasn't something I was used to. Um, I needed to learn and see how they did it. And once or twice, people will come to me and say, "So, what do you do?" And I will be like, "What do I really do?" You know, this is being honest. You know, it's not saying, "Oh, I sell bags" or "I make bags."
Mhm.
There was no easy answer. I mean, you've asked me that question, and I've gone like this.
Ah,
So I that bothered me because I couldn't say to any one person, "This is what I do and how I do it." So I was very quiet, and some people will come to me and like, "Oh, this is odd. You're in a networking event, and
quiet.
yeah, you're not mingling." I'm like, "Oh no, that's fine." The next year, it was a little bit better. I came out more. By the third year, I was the one actually selecting who I wanted to talk to. I was much more intentional about the people I wanted to meet and why I wanted to meet them. Uh, and of course, in all of this, the grace of God had to be pivotal to the whole thing. It wasn't just me wanting to do things. I needed the Almighty to enable it happen. And yes, so my prayers stopped being, "Oh God, please just do it, just do it." No, it became more specific.
Mm.
I'm going here, make a way. I want to meet this. I want to say this. You know, I'm still learning. I'm not yet. It's a journey, journey of faith, journey of your business journey, and a transformation. I mean, I keep talking about transformation. There's this scripture, Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the things of this world, but rather be transformed. And when I used to read that, I thought, oh, okay, once you're born again. No, the transformation is ongoing. The transformation is ongoing, and it's not limited to your spiritual walk. It encompasses your individuality, everything about you, your role as a parent, as a child, as a sibling, as all of those things, as a career person. It encompasses it. And the day you stop learning, you stop transforming. So it's a journey, and the journey is still ongoing, and uh, there's a lot to say, but I'm giving a
Yeah,
break.
I would emphasize that the day you stop learning, you stop transforming,
Absolutely.
and we just have to keep transforming. There's no end to it.
Nope.
Yeah, no end to it. Oh wow. Yeah. So tell me, has there been any silly thing you've done that you look back and you like, and then you laughed at yourself shortly after, like, maybe something.
Well, there are loads of silly things, yes. But one thing jumps to mind. It was silly, but it had a very important impact or a repercussion.
Okay.
Um, so when I was in Ife, my first year, when I first left command, even while I was in command, I heard a lot of stories where we always talked, in the dorms and about what being in university was about. And they talked about, victimizations, students dating their lecturers, and all of those kind of things. And without actually voicing out my opinion, I was resolute that I wasn't going to be one of those people. that I wasn't going to be victimized, neither was I going to be involved in lecturer student kind of thing. So, how did that impact me? When I got into IFE, my first year, I tried to be invisible. So I would come into the lectures and stay right at the back. I wouldn't come to the front, which was very unlike me. Natural me would just come to the front and sit down with no worries in the world.
Mhm.
But I was very conscious. And so I would submit my assignments, I would do all the things, but I would not do it directly.
Mhm.
But that didn't work because I had one or two lecturers that were out for me, one way or the other. So if I submitted an assignment and I typed it, they said they wanted it handwritten. If I hand wrote it, they will want it typed. To the extent that sometimes I would submit, they would say they didn't see it. Fortunately, the lab attendant, one very old allergy, will be the one to come to the meeting and say, no, she submitted. You know, Funny things like that. Now, what was the silly thing I did? I should have reported it to my parents. I should have reported it. I had a guardian on campus then. She was a doctor at the time. She's a professor now, Professor Mrs. Williams. Um, I should have told her what I was up against. But rather than that, I withdrew more. So they would invite me for a meeting. I would go with like 3 people just to be safe. And when we get there, the lecturer will waste our time until those other people will say, they can't wait anymore, they have to go, and I'll be on my own. And the man will come out and say, come back tomorrow. So after a while, I just got fed up of turning up. I stopped turning up. And for me, it was, I wanted to leave. I kept telling my parents I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. But I didn't say the actual reason why. So that was one silly thing I did because Ife was a very good school. It was very nurturing at the time I was there. And I felt that if I had told them, they had the clout to be able to put that lecturer in his place. And, I would have been able to continue without any issues. So now when I think about it with mixed feelings, would I be who I am today if I'd stayed? Or would I be a different person? Or would it have been the same thing? So that's one thing that jumps to mind, I think. And sometimes when I tell my kids, I tell them, tell me,
Yeah.
whatever it is, tell me. Because your mind is so small, you're not experienced, you don't know how to deal with certain challenges, you need help. So that comes from a place of experience, kind of thing. So it was a silly way to do things. And I think it cost me it cost me my peace because I wasn't at peace, you know. And back then, it would have been, they always blamed the students as opposed to the lecturer. And I don't know why I was afraid because my parents were very liberal and I could talk to them, but somehow I just let that go.
That was my experience. I don't know if you have watched have you watched mine?
No, I haven't. I'll have a look at it.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. That was just my experience. And I wish I talked to my parents, just like you wish you talked to your parents too. Yeah. But it's okay. So tell me, from the Funke we knew, you like dancing. Were you a social prefect or something?
To be honest, I can't even remember what I was.
But I know you were a prefect or something.
Yes, I was a prefect, but it wasn't social.
Okay.
Oh, that was another hoo-ha. I don't know if you remember all the hoo-ha with the prefect thing. They had to create. Actually, they created the position for me
Oh.
because there was a lot of hoo-ha controversy
No.
at the time with some of the teachers, and that's why I like Commandant of Blessed Memory, Commandant Lawal. Absolutely divine. He could sieve the wheat from the sheep. Rather, he could see through all of those kind of things. And he encouraged and kudos to him. So I think they created the religious prefect position for me.
Oh, was it religious prefect?
Oh yes, there wasn't before, but there were people who felt that I ought to have been a prefect at the first time, and there were people who felt no, no, no. So they actually had a punch up the teachers fought physically.
Wow.
Yes, the teachers fought physically. I can't remember her name, but it was Mr. Akbar and another female teacher that were slapping each other. I mean, I was humbled by and scared at the same time. Then there was a Mrs. Lawal, the maths teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She took a stand to say, okay, so you won't give her any of these ones. Okay, we'll create another position for her. She had to be, because academically I was sound,
Yeah.
and I don't think I was a bad student, all in all. Controversial, but not bad.
Yeah, controversial.
Good also. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so tell me, can you give us a few life lessons or tips?
Hmm. Think about things before you do them.
Think about it.
Think about them. Don't just give it a 5 minute risk assessment. Everything has risks. So you have to look at the beginning, the middle, and the end before you jump into it. I know as people of faith, we tend to say, ha, okay, that's a very good question. The tips one of the key tips that I have is, you might think you have a revelation. God has said, do this. God promised me. I've got a word of knowledge. I know, I saw it, I heard. We have a lot of renditions of hearing from God
Mm-hmm.
out there. But I don't just believe that. I think it's a tripartite thing.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in three parts or more: hearing it, interpreting it, and implementing it. If you get any of the parts wrong, the whole thing is wrong. That is the key thing. So, yes, God has said, relocate to Nigeria. You need to find out the interpretation of that relocate. Interpretation could mean when, with who, how.
Mm-hmm.
Implementation, how do I do it?
Yeah.
What do I need to do it? In what city? Go to Nigeria does not mean go to Lagos. Go to Nigeria does not mean be in Abuja. Go to Nigeria might be go to Ikotekpene or some. So just hearing go is not enough. Unless it even if we're going to go back to the Bible, when God spoke to Abraham and said, go to a place I will show you. He gave him some directions. That means start walking and I'll show you where to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what a lot of us hear. We just hear. So that is a key thing. I'm always going on about it when I have the opportunity to talk to people about this. And for some of us that don't hear, because there are people that don't hear, we're not trained to hear.
Mm-hmm.
We we rely on people or our leaders, our pastors or our prayer partners to guide us the voice of God. Oh, I feel I should do this. What do you think? Let's pray about it. And they tell you, okay, you can do this. Well, there's still that part of you that needs to get a confirmation directly.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? Because I'm of the understanding that God makes provision when He wants you to do something,
Yes.
or is in support of you doing something.
Yeah.
And you can tell if you meet a lot of adversity, contrary to what a lot of us say that, oh, it gets more difficult, it means you have to do it. I just think there are some cases, it's what, just turn around and go, leave it. This is not your calling. This is not where you're supposed to be. But when you see that provision is being made before you think something has happened at the right time, He may have actually wanted you to do those things, but you're doing it 10 years too early. And so you will not prosper in that venture. That time has to come. And in that time, there's a lot of growing up There's a lot of things you have to pick up along the way, you know.
Yeah.
I- and I, so I really believe that. So that's something. Those the three parts of hearing what you believe God has asked you to do. You need to find out, to interpret it in its full context,
Mhm.
and to know how you're going to implement it and when you're going to implement it is very key. So they work together. It's not enough to just hear, oh, God has told me I'm going to be a mother. I'm going to be a mother. Is it by natural birth, adoption, sponsoring? What? You know, to take it a little bit personal.
Because God is very personal.
Exactly.
God is personal. So it's important to know, you know, you have it. Just like the Bible says that it did not take them near through the near way. I mean, there was a shorter route for the children of Israel, but they had to take them through the wilderness for some trainings because the
Exactly.
timing wasn't right to take over.
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
the same thing. You're telling us, even though you know what God is telling you, you should know the interpretation.
Exactly.
Go left does not mean go to New York. It may mean
Exactly. Absolutely.
go to Canada through New York. You
Exactly.
know, and
Exactly.
you should know how to implement.
Absolutely.
Yes. So in the implementation, not even just knowing the implementation, but knowing the when and how.
When, how, the people, because no one is an island, how you're going to do it. The people, you might be thinking to partner with people because you feel that they are equipped, mentally, financially,
Yes.
they have the right pedigree to go into business with you or a venture, but they're not the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be surprised when God just brings people you've never met before that are singing the same hymn as you, and you're like, whoa, So it's very, I mean, I've experienced that. So what I'm saying is not um, theory. It's actually true. It's practical. And I can tell you that for free today, because my life 3 years ago, I mean, I've grown up to an understanding where I can actually reflect and see the difference in the last 3 years compared to the last 5 years, and the different stages of my life and the takeaways. And I can tell you that I probably haven't physically or consciously taken away anything from before the last 2 years. One has just sort of lived life. You've just been reacting to the circumstances that come your way rather than being intentional about the things that you do or the steps that you take. That's very, so you have to come to a conscious, it's not enough for people to just tell you be intentional, be know what you're doing. It's just that those are words. They don't make any sense until you find yourself living it and knowing, you actually confirm it within yourself. You know what, I'm going somewhere. No one tells you. So that is a lesson
Mm-hmm.
that you have to understand by yourself. And
So,
that is part of what makes me believe that, you know what, there was need for the journey, however convoluted the journey is. There, it was very necessary, because some of the things we're talking about now are not things that we don't know, we've not heard.
mm-hmm.
But until you have reason to experience them and confirm its importance or dismiss its importance in your life, you're still where you are. You're still going to be going around in circles.
Going on. That's just it. That's just it. Because you won't move until I mean, you just have to go through it,
Absolutely.
work it out, or else you just keep going around and around, doing the
Yeah,
same thing over and over again.
absolutely.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Another key lesson I learned is knowing how to say no.
Oh, I heard
No.
it takes integrity to know when to say no and to be able to say
Integrity,
no.
not just even integrity. Integrity, yes, when you're being asked to do something bad. But there's a problem when you want to do everything because your nature is to help, your nature is to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
You just become overwhelmed, and you may not even function properly because you're overwhelmed. So you must learn to say no, learn to say no. for this conversation that we're having, I probably would have said no, but I had just come back from Nigeria. I'd had enough time to rest when you spoke to me, and we had enough time before today. Otherwise, I would have been overwhelmed. And I'll be like, no, I won't be able to talk. I won't be able to. It's not that I wouldn't have loved to do it, but I'm like, I will be distracted. I will have other things on my mind, you know. So learning to say no. And do you know the kind of pressure it takes off you? Someone recently contacted me to anchor a show because they saw me do one for a friend. And they called me on a Friday to do something on a Saturday. They asked the friend to call me. And I was like, I was thinking about it there and there on the phone call. I'm like, no. And as if the man knew what I was about to say, he said, oh, you can actually say no if it's not convenient. I said, I'm sorry, it's not convenient. It's too short, blah, blah, blah. And you wouldn't believe how free I felt that I haven't done anything bad to this person by saying no. If I was that important to their show, they would have contacted me earlier. So that means I'm not the key person in that show. So I'm sorry, they may have a problem filling those shoes, but I can't make it my problem. That's something I've learned where, when I was a lot younger and you're outside looking in, you're like, oh, they have the resources and they're not helping. But I've walked that path and I realized, you know what? No, the more resources you have, be it time, be it funds, there's a lot more demand on it.
Yeah.
And so certain people will be told no, but you can't make that your headache. So that was a serious one for me to learn.
Wow. Wow.
And I think a lot of us get trapped in that cycle of just doing things because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I know we have to be sacrificial in our giving and all of that, but the word of God also says, be a cheerful giver.
Yeah.
If you're sacrificing and you're grumbling, it's pointless.
Of course. Definitely. Definitely. Thank you for that. That's really key. Any one more tip before we round up?
No, I can't think of any now. Just be true to yourself. Ask for help when you need help. Because there are people who have passed through the stage and succeeded that you're probably stuck at. And we always say, oh, there are dream killers out there. Don't discuss this with this person. Yes, they are. But there are also destiny helpers that you must talk to.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you're sitting down, having that turmoil inside yourself, not asking for help or direction. Wow. Whereas, if you just scroll through your address book,
contacts,
that just, so, there'll be people you're seeing and like, no, 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 no. And then all of a sudden you will just see, why didn't I remember this person before? Oh my gosh. And then you talk. They may not be able to be 100%, but they'll nudge you in the right direction, So that's something, or some people will want to say, I love this idea. I want to come on board and, galvanize the whole thing. So always know when to ask for help, who to ask for help is very important. The project I'm on, this project I'm working on at the moment, oh my goodness, I had so many negative things. It can't work, it can't happen. How can you be in England and think you can pull this off? How can you do this? How can you do that? But it happened. So the key thing, don't listen. Once you are sure, hear what they're saying. But for me, it comes in here and it goes out there. It doesn't register. It just, but I'm attentive. But as you're saying it and telling you, okay, there's a difference between what my vision is and what you're saying. Fantastic. Okay, this doesn't apply to me.
They're talking to me directly right now.
That's what I do. That is what I do. And so some people might say, oh, you're stubborn. This is what I hear. What's the word they say in Yoruba? Ori kunkun.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me that. And I'm like, okay, what is my vision? You cannot see the vision fully, no matter how much I want to say it, or I say you cannot. You might just hear, oh, I'm building a house. but you don't know if it's an oval house, how many levels, the materials is going to be made out of, because I can't go into that level of information. So you're giving me feedback based on someone building a square shaped house made with bricks, but I'm thinking of marble.
Mm-hmm.
So the adversity that the brick house faces is not what the marble house will face. And besides, you have just told me the obstacles along the way that I must avoid. So if you're telling me all of this, I already have a mitigating response to it. So you must speak, you must talk. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, one thing that just keeps coming back to me is knowing who to ask for help. Because one thing to ask people for help, and sometimes you ask some people for help, and then you are regretting even
Yeah, no, it's true. It is true.
even talking about it.
But
Yeah.
go with your gut feeling. You know the ones that you must not talk to.
Yes.
Before you speak to them, you already know. But it is human to err.
Mm-hmm.
So we must perfect that ability to listen to our inner voice, the inner red flags
Yeah.
saying, don't go there,
Mm-hmm.
don't go there. You know, that's something I'm not perfect at that. So I still make boo boos there,
Yeah.
you
Same
know.
here.
But I make those boo boos, but you know, I'm like, okay, I should have known better. Block, I just block the message. But that is not to say that a couple of months down the road, they may not be relevant.
Oh, of course,
But for that,
surely.
exactly. But for that time, you know what? Stay away because they cannot. They will dampen your vision.
And it doesn't mean they are bad. It just means that they're just
Mm.
not the ones for that.
They are not. They
Yeah,
are not. Exactly. Exactly.
definitely. Wow, wow. Do we go on?
Oh, it's up to you. I'm all ears. I think everybody has abandoned me in the house now. They've seen that I'm talking seriously. Oh, mom, okay. They've left me.
Wow, that's nice. Wow, I've learned so much from you today. I've learned so much, and it's like you were reiterating some things, you know, and I'm really grateful. Thank you for your time.
You're
Thank
most
you,
welcome.
thank you, thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to the big announcement.
Oh, yes, God's grace. I'm looking forward to it as well. I
Yeah,
mean, um, one of the testimonies of the COVID era. I can tell you that because, you know, we always say, everybody says, oh, I know in the time of, we live in a capitalist world.
yes,
So when there's strife or there's a pandemic of sorts as we have now, there will be people that will have make a headway as a result of it, and there will be people that will go down. You know, all of this we read in our books, all of this we did, we came across in economics, and when we look at current affairs and all of that, you hear, oh, this person, like who? Black Friday, George Soros, he made a lot of money in the stocks and all of that during the recession. What was it again? When the economy went bust some years back. And so for crying out loud, these are things that you hear that happen to other people. But I think we're grown up now. We're seeing it happen to people that we know, and some of us have that experience. Because for me, to not have to physically be in Nigeria and to get to the point that we got to, with the way we know there's a lot of bureaucracy in Nigeria as
yeah.
a result of COVID is amazing. Because they would you're supposed to go there, knock on the door, push the paper a bit, push the paper a bit. A kilo shell, they're doing you a big favor. Okay, no, you have to come next week after flying a few times. But that didn't happen. And I'm so grateful to God that, okay, so that for me, that endorses my my understanding of the revelation, interpretation, and implementation. Yeah. So when it's not a done deal as in complete, we're still on that journey of making sure that you adhere to the instructions
Mhm.
as God-given instructions. You know. So I keep talking about God. God is key. He's
Oh,
key. He's key.
definitely.
He's key. But it doesn't mean that you should not you cannot be, you have to get the training, whether you get the training formally at uni or you get the training by mirroring somebody, or you know, you have to get the
I
training, you
know
have to be
someone. Yeah.
exposed to it. Yes, because as much as we know that we have Christian doctors, somebody can't just wake up and say, I'm a doctor. They have to have been tutored.
Sure.
Exactly. So this is it. So yes, your faith and your vocation have to go hand in hand.
Your faith and your vocation. Mm. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't know.
I
I'm
don't know.
inspired. Yeah, I'm really inspired.
So I hope so. I hope so. I mean,
I'm
I do hope
inspired.
so. I mean, there's a lot. You know, we all have things inside of us, but sometimes we don't have the platform yet to express what is in us and how we can help.
Our world.
Yeah.
That what I've been talking to people about. I said, we heard about some people did something 20 years ago, 50 years ago. It's our time to do something.
You're
And
right.
except this is like an avenue for us to express ourselves. We don't know who's going to get a hold of this and be inspired. And with all the wrong information around us, I mean, let's give some good ones.
Absolutely.
Even if we just say a handful of people that are going to hear this, their lives will be impacted.
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean,
Yes, I mean, even the idea of the thought of, I mean, some things I'm taking away from here is the timing, doing things at the right time, and ensuring that you implement whatever you hear the right way. Those are some of the things that are just in my head right now.
it's very key.
Yeah, and the learning to I would like you. I don't know the word to use. Learning to filter the
Yes.
counsel you get.
That is also very important because one can be easily derailed or your progress stunted, depending on what you hear. And sometimes you have to overcome your own fears. We all have our fears. I mean, there's nobody that will tell me that they don't have challenges with, oh, how do I do this? How to move? In what direction do I go to? We all have it. I mean, it got to a point when my deal came through and it was like an out of body experience. And I was talking to my partner. I'm like, okay, so what now? We'll phone each other and we'll be like, it just feels as if everything, it was pin drop silence because there was no longer a need to be banging on doors, calling people, texting, have you seen my email, have you done this, um, having numerous meetings to sort of readdress an issue or overcome somebody's understanding of something, representing your views. All that just came to an end one day. I'm like, is this how it is? And that's true. And so when I say to you, when you said filter, that's the truth. Because if I'd listened to a lot of those things that I'd heard, even some members of my own family, um, in fact, one member of my family that I mentioned this to, I didn't even say that. All he saw was, oh, what I'd done so far. And it just started coming out with, you do know that this is difficult. You do know that. I'm like, they how about well done? Give me a pat on the back. And so what do you need? It just started coming up with the obstacles and challenges that may ensue. But I just shut it down. Oh, that's sorted. And oh, really? It wasn't sorted though, but it was sorted. Do you know? I said, oh, that's sorted. Just be quiet.
I can weigh you down.
Exactly. Do you think I don't know?
Mm-hmm.
To a certain extent, I know, and I've human nature. I've come to meet, and it's a journey, life itself. So, what is the thing that I have? One of the things I started thinking about recently is how I must be, who I must be, how to remain who I am supposed to be.
Wow. Mm.
Very important. I
Very.
didn't think about those things how many years ago? Never thought about them. But this is in line with me saying your journey, when you get to the point where you're either going to another level or you're actually beginning to execute what you're supposed to, maybe your destiny, your mandate, whatever it is, those kind of thoughts will start coming because it is relevant. So for some people, it might have happened in their 20s.
Yes.
Some people, it will happen in their 60s. So it is about your journey, about who you are, about your realization, your ability to be able to put things together and review and reflect on the past and look at where you project into the future. And so if you're able to do that, certain questions will come up, such as exactly who am I now? Okay, I'm going into this bubble. Do I want to be the prick that the pin that pricks the bubble, or do I just want to be the one who seals the holes? Who do you want to be, and how can you be that? You know. So those are the kind of thoughts that I suppose when you get to a point of actualization, you need to know, because that is how you would either soar, continue to soar if you decide to be the right person, or you will sink fast. So it's very key, it's very on the crux of things.
And we all get to that point at different ages, different times in our lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you tell someone, it takes you having to get to that point yourself to understand it. You can, unfortunately, that's how life is. You learn by experience.
Definitely.
Some things you can pick up. Yeah. Like they tell you, oh, do you know how to read? Yeah, you were taught to read. But the importance of being able to read may not have settled in your mind as, why do I have to know how to read?
Yeah.
Until one day you have to give a speech and you have to write it yourself. And you realize that your vocabulary is either broad or limited. Then you know why you should have
done that. The reading, yeah.
Yeah. Or they can tell you till they are blue in the face. And you may never, because you're never going to get to the place where you need that. So what? Hey.
Definitely. You're limited.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I am, as I said before, I'm really blessed. I've been really inspired. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure I will not have another one with you.
Part 2.
maybe after the big announcement, I don't know.
Yes,
we'll probably have another one sometime soon. Yeah.
I'd like that. That's actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing. There's so many facets to Funke Suleman.
I can imagine. I noticed that. So, thank you very much. Thank you. But can you just I would like to know what you do for leisure. Just one or two statements, because I have a second.
Leisure.
Yeah.
Okay, what do I do for leisure? That's been very difficult lately. I realized that I haven't. The pandemic, being in lockdown, hasn't given me the opportunity to. But naturally, I like to have my friends, a few friends, a handful of friends around. We either go for a meal, chit chat, catch up on everything, laugh about our youth, that kind of a thing. So those are the kind of things that I do. I like to. Before, I used to love to listen to music, but I can't find the time now. Yesterday I was driving back from a friend's house, and I turned on the radio, and I realized I missed music, and I was jamming all the way back. I'm like, very loud. This is something that I would tell my kids, can you reduce the volume? But I was just misbehaving, let's put it that way. But I like music. I used to go out, look for the latest jazz CDs and stuff. I can still, I guess now it's time for work. I find it difficult to find that serious leisure time. But to 2021, by God's grace, there has to be a work-life balance.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for watching this. I believe you have learned one or two things. More than two things, because I've learned a lot from this. And I'm looking forward to part 2 of this. Definitely there'll be a part 2 very soon. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Funke. Yes, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.